On today's episode, we're going to talk about German country living. I live in a little village in southern Germany with a whopping 200 people. So I thought today we could talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hello, Yin Lieblings. I'm Madi, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. When my husband and I were having one of our many conversations about where we were going to live, one of his original ideas was that I move into his family house in this tiny-ass village in the middle of nowhere with a whopping 200 people. I was living in the city of Chicago at that point, so the thought of going from a big metropolitan city to a tiny village, well, no. What we did end up doing was transferring within our jobs. My husband transferred to Beringen in Switzerland, and I transferred to Ravensburg, and we both lived in Überlingen on Lake Constance because it was like almost exactly in between. Honestly, living in Überlingen was beautiful. We were down the street from Lake Constance, and I love the days where you could see the Alps and there would be like a random swan in the lake, and it was just so magical. However, we didn't have any friends. I mean, we had friends, of course, but they were in our places of work, which was 45 minutes minimum in opposite directions. And we didn't have friends in Überlingen. And it also didn't help that we were also going back to my husband's hometown pretty much once a month, either because of birthdays or festivals or to help out my mother-in-law who lives alone in the family house. And after 4 years, we decided that we were tired of paying rent. And by then I had actually started amassing friends in my husband's hometown as well as neighboring villages. So we decided to make the move into the family house, and here we are. It is funny to think about how this city girl is now living in the country. But, you know, after living here for 3 years, still good. It's still good. So now that I live out here and I've been here for said 3 years, I thought I would talk about the pros and cons of living out here. So let's do this list style. First pro, space. If you live in Europe, you know how crowded it is here compared to the States. If you don't live in Europe, let me try to put this into perspective. Germany has about 83 million people stuffed into a country the size of the state of Wyoming. Imagine a fourth of the US population stuffed into one state. That's Germany. It always cracked me up when Trump, like when he was still president, he once said in a speech that there's no more space in the States, we're crowded. You don't know the meaning of the word crowded, sweet cheeks. The US is not crowded. But living out here in the country, there is space. We only have one neighbor across the street. Actually, that's this way. That's the front of the house over there. We have one next to us, and then there's a barn on the other side that's owned by another neighbor over there. And our backyard just looks out into a field. And we have this lovely paths where we can take Roxy on walks, and it's awesome, and it's quiet. It's good. It's a good pro. But the first con would be that it is far away from a lot of diversity. One of the perks of living in a big city, regardless of the country, is the diversity that congregates there. I grew up in a country town in the States until I was 10, and I was the different kid. And I'm half Peruvian. I'm not even like I was the diversity of that town. And I'm white, so like that's not much. Anyway, when I was 10, we moved to Indianapolis, and I went to a high school that was at that point 60% African American. Now it's 80%. So yeah, it was a big shift, and I'm so grateful for it because yeah, diversity is awesome. But also, you know, living here in this. My whole point is whether you're living in the country town in the States or in Germany, you do end up just finding more diversity in a city. That's just how it is. But out here, it also means that there just are fewer people who are native English speakers. I know of at least one other American who lives in the next village, but I've only met him once. There is an Australian woman who's the neighbor of my brother-in-law, but I have actually yet to meet her. And then I do have a friend from Tobago. And I think my friend from Tobago has it actually much harder than me because he's also a big, tall, glorious black man. I can count on one hand the number of people of color around here. But my point is there's just much not diversity. It is what it is. That's country living, like I said, regardless of country. But to put it more extremely, it also means there's just nothing Peruvian out here. Yeah, there isn't. If I want anything remotely Peruvian, I have to go to a big city like Nuremberg or Stuttgart. And even like Nuremberg is technically closer and there's only like one restaurant. In terms of American stuff, I am actually very lucky here because the closest actual like town or city is the city of Kreilsheim, and it used to have an American base. So there's already a lot of stuff established here in terms of food, but also things like pro number 2, basketball. Kreilsheim is home of the Kreilsheimer Merlins, the local basketball team with a rabid fan base. And if you're also from Indiana like myself, you know basketball is our sport of choice. One of the slogans of my alma mater, Indiana University, is that we are a drinking university with a basketball problem. Yeah, they had that on t-shirts. The second con is you have to drive everywhere. Out here, we don't really have much in terms of public transportation. I mean, there is a train station a few villages away, but we don't really get trains all that often. I know one of our nephews had to use it when he was studying in Kreilsheim, so it's not impossible, but it doesn't have the same frequency as a bigger city, so it just requires more creative planning. You do need a car out here. However, my third pro would be biking is safer. Since we have a lot of these nice paths that are technically for tractors, we locals use them for walking and bike riding, and it keeps you off the roads and it is safe. My husband and I both like to bike when the weather is nice, or at least survivable for the 10-15 minutes that we're riding, to like a friend's house or whatever. You may have seen them on some of my vlogs, or you would have seen in my most recent Moose Visa vlog that we also do like to walk. So my third con would be so much nature. But why is this a con? It's because I have horrible allergies. And while the wildflowers are stunning and beautiful, my allergies make my life a living hell during this time of the year. However, my fourth pro is there's so much nature. It is not only beautiful to see so much green, but we also have space for our own garden. Well, my mother-in-law does because I'm lazy. I do want to take over her garden someday and add it to my already really long list of stuff I want or need to get done. Maybe I will just turn into a housewife so I actually have time. Yeah. At the moment, we have a great amount of onions and potatoes from Schwiegermutti's garden, and there is nothing better than making hash browns from your own potatoes. Or, in this case, my mother-in-law's potatoes. Fourth con, shopping is limited. Our grocery stores have the basic necessities, but if you need something like makeup, you either have to drive to like Schwäbisch Hall, which is like a 40-minute drive, or order online if you want to get makeup. Or if you want to at least go to like the closest Douglas, which is the German Sephora. And I'm sorry, folks, that makeup from Lidl doesn't count. It just doesn't, guys. Granted, I could go to Kreilsheim and get some makeup at Müller, but even that's still rather limited. I can't get like my Urban Decay or MAC or like, because I do invest in good makeup. But, thankfully we are able to order online. Thank God. And Sephora is available in Germany, as well as some of my favorite brands like Urban Decay or Tarte. They weren't available when I first moved to Germany. And of course, in the end, I have to order if I want something specific, because out here it's just basic stuff. And I think it just goes into the whole country living thing. Again, this is regardless of country. Makeup is just not a thing out here, or just not as much of a thing. If the only makeup you can get is from Lidl and people are happy with it, that's fine. If that's your thing. It's just to each his own. It's fine. My fifth pro is the small town feel. When you live in a village of 200 people, everyone knows everyone. We also spent a lot of time in the next village, which is like 2 kilometers away. It has about 1,000 people because that's where our football club is and that's where most of our friends live. And I will admit, because everyone knows everyone, the village knew who I was when I arrived on the scene. I was so-and-so's girlfriend from the States, and people were curious. It took me a hot minute to make my own friends outside of my then boyfriend, now husband, but I really hit the jackpot because I genuinely feel like I'm in the friendliest place in Germany. It is one of the biggest reasons why I was ready to move to my husband's village when the time came, because I think, in my personal humble opinion, I find the Hohenlohe people and Hohenlohe being the place where it's a place where random people make eye contact with you when you're walking down the street, and they smile and they wish you a good day. It feels like I'm in the Midwest. I have felt welcome in this area since the first day I came to visit back in 2013. And it does feel like home because the people here are awesome. And I don't think they realize how much their kindness has really made a difference. And lastly, my 5th con. Actually, I don't have one. I found it hard to come up with the cons in this list. And that's because I do actually like it out here. The cost of living is cheaper, the people are friendlier, we're close to both the A6 and A7, which means we can be in one of several major cities within a few hours, and even in the Alps in as little as 3 hours. I mean, there really are a lot more pros than cons in my opinion, like where I'm living right now, and I have a really good life, so I can't complain. And what do you think? Are you a city person? Are you a country one? My mom is a city girl. My dad is a country boy. So I'm just kind of somewhere in the middle. It kind of just depends on my mood. Let me know in the comments below. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there's a certain topic you'd like to see on this channel. If you want fun escapism, my Space Fantasy the God Queen and a sequel to Last Imperator are available in ebook, paperback, and hardback. I have all the links in the description below. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a free short story as well as some fun behind-the-scenes goodies. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or the Facebooks. And that's it. Until next time, adi!